Okay, welcome to the last part of this course. Now we have to load the frames we just rendered in Fusion to prepare the final composition. So the first thing I like to do is to load using the loader, and let's go in the right folder to load the frames we just rendered. So back in the tutorials, let's load the text beauty, and let's do the same with the particles. Okay, so our particles are 500 frames. We can do maybe 600, so we have the time to do everything. Let's set to just one screen there. That's the frame we have as final, and that's the gaseous effects. Let's set to fit to see the entire frame, and let's say as import to make the alpha solid so we see just the particles. You see the grain in the particles because we used just a proxy PRT cache, so if you prepare more particles you will have no grain. I will load the particles to see how it looks, and then we'll see it together and we start to make the composition. Okay, I just loaded so we can see it. You see that the particles are changing color depending on the speed. Then we are moving inside, and then we are going out to see the entire logo. This part is really nice because we have enough particles to see how it looks. You see that we have the logo. There you see that we see also the point with the motion blur. Obviously, if you have time, you can render with more samples for the motion blur, so we'll have like lines there, so we'll have more samples and it will be more similar to this part. Another thing, again, in this case there you see a lot of grain and point. If you have the time to prepare more particles, you will see just gas effects like that, so it will be really perfect. So we'll try to manage this issue there in composing to obtain something more interesting. So we'll use some tricks to remove this problem. First of all, we need a composite because, you know, we have to show the final logo over the particles, and let's say that we have this one there. So we have the merge, and you see that we have the particles there, so we can say that, for example, at maybe 40, this one is set as blend to 0. Then you can click with the right mouse button there and click over animate, so we have there a key, and then we can decide, for example, that at 500 we have it completely visible. And another thing we can do is to remove the others, but it's not a problem because maybe we can have a little bit of additional effects over the other one. So you see it is appearing step by step. So let's go at the final screen. Let's do something there to the text. So let's go, for example, to have a glow, and we go to have a really big glow around. Let's say something like that, and we can change also the color so it can be more bluish. Okay, we can have another glow, and this one can be white, and maybe it can be more little and higher, so it will be really so much visible as you see. So that's the logo that is appearing. Okay, nice, perfect. So we have the final part adjusted. We have just to decide how to control the look there for the particles. So something that needs to be done is to control the the various effects of the particles, and you see that the first one is that we have something really with a lot of points, so we can create a base of particles just using a blur. So let's go to have there a blur, and let's go for a normal blur. And this blur can be, let's say that we have a Gaussian, and let's go to see the effect, and you see that we can control the amount, and we can go for a really high blurred effect. So you see we have just some kind of general lighting. Okay, then I like to have maybe on this one a little bit of glow. So blur, glow, and you see that we have a little bit of lighting. So we can decide to have maybe just a little bit less. So you see that's the particles, then the blurring, and then that's the glow. Now I like to create another passes. This one will be less with less blurring. So let's say that we have a copy of this one. So Ctrl C, Ctrl V, and then we have another merge there. So composite, merge, and we merge this one. Maybe we can do the different, so this one will be up and this one will be the back. So the back we do just a little bit of rack defocusing. So blur the focus, connect to this one and this one, and we go to have something really not so much visible. Let's go for an angle, shade it out just to have a different shape. Let's see to have more the focusing. You see that we have also the blooming there. So let's go to have a lower blooming. So that's our effect. We can use this one. And this one will be merged as a screen. So it will be added over the other one. So you see we have this kind of gaseous effects actually, and you see that this is what we see at this time. Okay, perfect. So we start to have something nice enough, but I like to still continue working on the look. So we have this kind of effect, and then I like to add another layer. And a really nice interesting thing is that let's see if we can add something like I like to see if we have something that can create let's see if we can use this one with the highlight. Okay, let's try to manage this kind of effects with more points, so we have some kind of, you see, lighting with a bigger sides, but it will be, see, lower, and I like to be really high. And about the coloring, you see I like to remove the green, so we have just some bluish color. Okay, so we have some area with a really high energy, but let's go back and let's see if we can have a little bit just a little bit. So let's see. Okay, we have just a little bit of energy in some area. Okay, let's save it. So we can also not see the various lighting we have there. Then I like to add, maybe we can add a little bit of noise over it. To add the noise over it, we have to manage the animation, and we have also to manage the scaling. So what I mean is that, let's go to move, this one there. Let's create in the creator fast noise. You see that's the noise, and in the image we go to have the same scaling we have for the particles. So this one is, let's go for 900 for 507, so 900 and 507. Okay, and we go to have a different setting, so we go to have more detail. The detail are there, and you see that the noise start to be more complex. Let's go to have a little bit more contrast, and the scaling can be different. So let's go, for example, for let's say maybe 6 at the beginning. So what we can do with this one? We can have another composite, a merge, connect, and connect, and connect there. So you see that now it is over the other one, but we'll use the multiply to remove lighting from the other. But we go for something not so much power, so it will be just 0.4. And another thing we have to do is to say about the color. The alpha is 1, so we have the black, and the black can be used in the multiply there. Let's see how it works. You see that it's working as a noise over. So let's go to have a bigger scaling. Okay, you see in this case we are adding a gaseous effects over everything. Obviously, if you prepared a lot of particles, maybe you don't need it. But in this case, you see it will help us to have a gaseous effects. We have to animate this one, because obviously we need a different value step by step. So we can say that the scaling is animated. So let's go for animate, and at the end it will be bigger, let's say maybe 25. So it is actually animated, and we can see it there. So you see that the path, we have no animation in the noise, so we have no other changes. So we can say that we like to have a little bit of change, let's say 8. And if we go to see this one, let's go in the proxy, so it will be faster. You see that now we have some kind of variation over the noise too. So the noise is moving. Okay, and back there. Let's try to see just some frame. Okay, we have enough frames. Let's go to see. You see that we have this noise. Maybe we can have a little bit less variation, and it can be a little bit less visible. So we can go to have a little bit less variation, and it is less visible, let's say maybe 0.2. Okay, nice. So we have some kind of effects like the variation, and I like now to add something over the particles. But before, I like to play a little bit with the particles there. So I like to see how much blurring we have. So this one has this kind of parameter. and I like to have more. So you see we have more the focusing. Let's go with no proxy, and this one is blurred enough, so that's the effect we have. Okay, we have to animate those parameters. So let's say that maybe until there, let's say until the frame 130, we have the focus sides with the animate, and let's say that maybe there we have a really lower value. So let's see what happened again. So we have a lot of blurred gas. Then you see this moving, and in a few we'll start to have the noise reduction. You see that there we have still the blurring, and then it is starting to animate the parameter. So we should start to see a more detailed effect in a few. Okay, in fact you see that now we have the complete visibility for our effect. Okay, let's see it in real time. So you see we have the gas, and then we are moving the camera, and we are start to see everything. Okay, save. So now we can do something to have some kind of different effects. I like to load again. Let's move a little bit this one. Let's say that we have this one there. Let's try to have a little bit better organization. Okay, I like to load again the particles, so Ctrl C, Ctrl V, and let's put it there. Then there we have another merge, so in Creator, in Composite merge, and we go to merge the particles. If you go to C, you see that now we see just the particles. I go to C to this one to use no alpha, and that's our frame, and that's the new frame. And we say to first of all, let's remove. I like to go in a bigger size, so let's go to 100%. So that's our frame, and that's the new one. Let's start to see if we have just a screen. I like to make some experimentation. The overlay is not bad, because you see we see more particles there. Let's use maybe just a little bit less gain to have just a little bit less power. But I like to see those particles later, so, or maybe let's see how it works there. And it's not bad, because we see a little bit of grainy inside the gas, so it's not bad, I think. Okay, and save. Let's go again to fit. So what happened, you see that we have these gaseous effects. It is really nice, and then it is starting to be filled with the final logo. So just to let you know, you can have the possibility to control the colors using a color corrector. So let's go in the plane of the gas. If you like, using the color corrector, you can decide, for example, to control, you see a little bit the saturation, so we have a little bit more saturation, we can have a little bit more contrast, and if you like, you can manage a little bit the coloring to move the colors to some kind of color you like or you prefer. So in this way, you see I'm just moving a little bit to have more coloring and move a little bit to the bluish. And then if you like, you can have a little bit of sharpen. So inside the blur, sharpen, you see that we are starting to see a lot of detail. We can have obviously a little bit less, let's say 0.2. We can go back to see there, maybe just a little bit more. Okay, you see that in this way we are starting to see a little bit more detail inside the gas effects. Let's go back to fit, and then there we can have, let's say, a color corrector. We can have a mask to create the reconnecting, an ellipse connect to the effect. Then the first thing we can do is to we can, for example, connected to the mask. We can have a little bit less gain to change the coloring, but we have to invert soft edge to soften the mask, and then you can scale it. So you see we are changing a little bit there, so we have a little bit less gain, and we can manage the colors. So we can decide, for example, that there we start to have the reddish color, and maybe we can have a little bit less saturation. So in this way you see that the border has different colors than the other parts. Something I like to tweak a little bit is there where we have the glow. So let's see if we set to off this one. To set to off, I'm using the Ctrl P. We have Beckett, and I like to see the highlight. Okay, you see that maybe this one is a little bit too much. So maybe we can leave it set to off. So if you like, you can use it, or maybe not if you prefer to have less lighting inside. Let's save, and now we like to see a preview for all the frames. So it is ready, and we can just maybe play and load all the frames, and we'll see it in a few. So let's go back there and let's play. So the preview is ready. We can see it. Obviously, if you like, you can control the noise animation more to have something different if you don't like to see it too much. But you see that that's the final result, and it is really not bad. Okay, so you know, you can maybe tweak a little bit there the noise. So maybe we can make, first of all, this one less visible. Let's say maybe 0.1, so it's really not so much visible. And maybe about the animation, let's go in the just there, sorry, and the noise. Okay, maybe we can tweak a little bit this parameter. Let's say maybe 0.02 to have, you see, a lower variation in the noise. Maybe we can have a little bit less contrast. Let's go to 0.1, or maybe less. So let's go to have something less visible. So that's the basic render, and that's the other one, just to have a little bit subtle effect. And then we have the formation of the logo, and that's, I think, really not bad. Okay, if you like to have the logo over a background, we have to think about it. So you have to think to have something more that will be created over the text. So I mean, we can add it, we can move this one there, and we can create a background. This background will be 900 and 507, and we have another merge. So we can use the same merge as this one. So Control C, Control C and Control V. We merge this one as background and this one is the foreground. So we should have the same animation. So you see it is appearing, and if we go there, you see that in this case we are making this appearing the back and appearing the foreground. And this one can be with colors. So let's pick there, and let's say that we have 4 area, and we can start to have, you see, some nice coloring for the various level. Okay, and something for the back area too. And the same for there. Okay, and let's see with the vignetting effects. We have the reddish color, so we go to change a little bit also this one, and we can say that the colors, let's say that we have it there until, for example, there, because you know then we don't need it, so we can decide to do something like pick this one, and we can say to animate the level. So let's decide that at 300 we have the animation for the level of the ellipse, and then we can have it removed, for example, at 400. So in this case, when we go to the last frame, you see that we have no more vignetting and we have just the logo. We can maybe have a little bit less gluage. Let's see that if it is this one. Okay, so this one can be maybe higher at the beginning. So let's say that this one maybe is also bigger, so you see it's really big, and then animate and animate, and then maybe at 480 we have that this one is really low, and the glow size is low too, so we have a more clear text. Okay, so you see we have the logo there appearing with a higher. Maybe it is just to brief the animation, so let's go in the timeline, in the spline, and we have this one, so maybe we can anticipate to 420. So I'm moving, you see the point, and the same for this one, so we can pick this one and say 420. So you see it is appearing with a lot of gluage, and then it is going away, and we have just the final logo there. Okay, maybe let's go back to the flow. Let's go to have maybe some more frames. Let's go to pick this one and say that the last frame is old for 50 frames. So we are saying to maintain the last frame, It is not a big issue because we don't see the frame, so it's not a problem. So you see it is appearing, the background is going, and then we have a nice looking effect. We can add a little bit of grain to simulate the film quality. Let's get to 100 and see with the grain. It is obviously too much. Let's go for something more little. Let's go for 0.5, and you see 1.5 should be enough. So we have it, but it is not so much visible. Okay, back to the fit. We have our project ready, save. We need just to add an output, saver. We can go to create their folder, comp, and we can call it comp, and then we can write JPEG. We can connect, and here in the output format 100% quality, so we'll have less compression possible. And that's done. So we have the final result as we thought at the beginning. So it was a really simple approach to see how to control a lot of stuff like particles, creating a caching with the PRT, rendering with Krakatoa, and see how to adjust and to avoid the grain problem inside Fusion. So it was really complete. We saw also some sneak peek about Magmaflow to control the colors of the density of the particle. So it is just the beginning, because we'll see really soon how to use Magmaflow to do some more complex stuff. So for the moment that's all, and I hope to see you back on Max Cookie to check for new tutorial coming from cgcookie.com. Bye!